Hello and welcome to Leamos, Spanish language and bilingual titles for young readers. Before we begin, I'd like to go over some technical details. Today's slide presentation and title list were included in the reminder email you received from Zoom 1 hour ago. To download them, please open that email, scroll to the bottom, and click on the links located there. You can also download the slides and title lists by typing the URLs on this screen into your web browser. If you have any trouble, please contact us at webinars@booklistonline.com. The audience is in listen-only mode, but we welcome any questions you may have. On the bottom of your screen is a toolbar with a section for Q&A. If you have a question or need technical assistance, simply click Q&A and type your message into the box that appears. We will do our best to respond to all tech-related questions and will pass along all other questions to today's panelists so they can follow up with you after the webinar. Booklist offers closed captioning on all webinars. To enable or disable them on your screen, please look for and click the Show Captions icon on the toolbar mentioned earlier. If you choose to enable subtitles, you can adjust the size of them at any time by selecting Caption Settings. And finally, Booklist expects all participants to maintain an atmosphere of respect and fairness. Anyone who violates this standard of behavior, including engaging in any form of harassment, may, at the discretion of the organizers, be immediately removed. Today, we have the pleasure of hearing from Gelsey Phaneuf, Associate Publicist at NorthSouth Books, Marian Hernandez, Publishing Assistant at NorthSouth Books, Stephanie Frescas Macias, Assistant Editor, Lee & Low Books, and Catalina Uguin from Makina Editorial. We will kick things off with the NorthSouth Books team. Gelsey Phaneuf is the Associate Publicist at NorthSouth Books. She holds a BA in English from Vassar College and is a graduate of the Columbia Publishing course. Marian Hernandez is a publishing assistant at NorthSouth Books. Previously, she was an editorial assistant at Junior Library Guild, focusing on Spanish language and middle grade/high school nonfiction categories. Marian holds a BA in English from Rollins College with an emphasis on creative nonfiction writing. Thanks for being here, Gelsey and Marian. The floor is yours.
Hello, and thank you for joining NorthSouth Books for this presentation today. My name is Gelsey Phaneuf, and I am the Associate Publicist, and I'm also joined here by Marian Hernandez, our Publishing Assistant today. We are thrilled to introduce you to our Spanish and bilingual titles for young readers as we expand our multilingual offerings through our new Spanish imprint, Ediciones NorthSouth. Our mission with Ediciones NorthSouth is to publish original picture books in Spanish written by and for native speakers, as well as books with authentic and creative translations into Spanish. Haikuba is our inaugural title launching Ediciones NorthSouth this fall. The book is a bilingual celebration of Cuba, the island, and the people. Throughout the book, details such as the guagua, Gayabera shirts, and salsa music and dance are introduced through haikus in Spanish and English. The poems are co-written by Cuban-American poet Carlos Pintado and award-winning writer and translator Lawrence Schimmel. The haikus were created simultaneously in both languages, meaning the structure of the haiku and the essence of the poem stays consistent throughout, although the word choice or phrasing might differ slightly between the languages. This ensures that the book can be used to teach haiku in both languages, and the text remains authentic and poetic throughout. You can see here that there's also an introduction that talks about the haiku and how to write one, and there's back matter as well with fun facts about haikuba. The vibrant illustrations by Mexican artist Juan Jose Colsa, who has illustrated over 100 books, were created using a mix of watercolor, gouache, pencils, and ink, and really capture the beauty of this island country and its people. Viva el Aguacate is a sweet family story about a girl who learns to grow an avocado plant from seed and how it stays part of her life and family as she grows up. It was written and illustrated by Israeli artist Taltal Levy and is translated by Achio Bejas, an award-winning Jewish Cuban-American author and translator. Originally published in spring 2024 in English as Avocado Magic, it is now available in Spanish. In Viva el Aguacate, a little girl can't wait to grow up, even though she is no taller on her birthday. Her father gifts her an avocado seed, encouraging her to find magic in things that take time. Through patience and creativity, both the little girl, who is Muriel in the Spanish edition and Ellie in the English, and the avocado plant both grow up and experience the wonders of different stages of life. The book also contains instructions for growing your own avocado plant. We are excited to launch the Rainbow Fish best-selling series in Spanish this spring, starting with 2 new titles, including the original book, El Pez Arco Iris, as well as Buenas noches, Pequeño Pez Arco Iris. The Rainbow Fish has not been available in a Spanish hardcover since 2008, so the title has been newly translated by award-winning Mexican-American author and translator David Bowles. His honors include a Pura Belpré Honor and Americas Award and the Tomas Rivera Mexican-American Children's Book Award. We are now going to get a treat to hear from David himself, who will talk about his translations of the Rainbow Fish series.
Hi there, David Bowles. I'm a Mexican-American writer and translator from Deep South Texas, where I teach at the University of Texas, Rio Grande Valley.
Thank you so much for taking the time to tell us a little bit about your work, David. Can you tell us how you approached your translations for the El Pez Arco Iris series?
One of the most important things about translating the Rainbow Fish into El Pez Arco Iris and translating the entire series into Spanish was to find the right voice, a voice that could then be consistent across the series and allow readers whose native language is Spanish or who are learning Spanish to encounter that same voice again and again. Because of the vast numbers of people that could be reading it from different backgrounds, I wanted to find a kind of voice that would work for basically any Latin American country, but that, in fairness to the identity of the translator, that would feel slightly tinged with maybe North American Spanish, specifically Mexican, right? And, I wanted comprehensibility to be the number one guiding principle for choosing words and so forth, but I also wanted the world to feel like a real neighborhood. I wanted Rainbow Fish's mother to feel like a real mom. I really looked for ways to develop the themes of friendship and belonging and equity through language that would resonate and feel familiar to kids that are reading.
The Rainbow Fish was originally published over 30 years ago. As an educator yourself, how does this classic story work for educators today?
I have seen in different roles that I've played in my life as teacher, director of bilingual education in the school district and so forth, that it's uniquely kind of situated for having conversations around found family, friendship, community, equity, the difficulties of privilege and the kinds of things that children who have privilege, whether that is a privilege of power or inherited wealth or whatever, what they have to do in order to interact with others and not be outside of the circles of friends and community that other kids inhabit. And it's one of the best books for tabling those conversations, for beginning those conversations with kids. And I think that in crafting this new translation, El Pez Arco Iris, I have endeavored to emphasize those things and find ways to underscore and bring out more the themes that sometimes can get muddied in translation. I just wanted to make sure that it was clear what the purpose of the author and the publisher was. And I think it's a really beautiful book that has stood the test of time. And the series itself is amazing as well. And so, as you are thinking about the kinds of books you want to add to your collections, that you want to have in your classrooms, think about the ability of kind of like a transcendental story that crosses national borders and uses fish and their many distinct colors and shapes and sizes as metaphors for human beings and all of our variegated and beautiful diversity, as a really good place to begin those conversations with kids. And so I just encourage you to take a look at these new translations, to revisit the books in English as well, and do what's best for kids as we build up their literacy and turn them into critical thinkers and members of a society in which we value one another, our differences, our unique beauties, while also understanding the need to come together and find commonalities. And those are the great life lessons that you get from this series of books. So, thank you very much.
We hope you will consider including El Pez Arco Iris as part of your classics in Spanish collections. We will also be releasing more Rainbow Fish titles in new Spanish translations regularly, so keep an eye out for these titles to complete the series.
Thank you, Gelsey. I'm Marian, and I'll be talking about some of our recent and upcoming titles, starting with the lovely Sigamos Subiendo, written by Baptiste Paul and illustrated by Jacqueline Alcantara, translated by Roque Raquel Salas Rivera. This charming picture book follows a father-daughter duo on a hiking adventure, and it's now available in Spanish. The story, sprinkled with Creole words, showcases diversity and cultural richness. Alcantara's vibrant illustrations bring the lush landscapes of the Piton Mountains to life, making it visually appealing for young readers. Sigamos Subiendo, however, is more than just a sweet tale. It's a window into different cultures and a mirror for Spanish-speaking families. It subtly encourages kids to get active, teaches them about perseverance, and might just inspire some family hiking trips. There's even a hidden creature hunt at the end, perfect for eagle-eyed readers, and a Creole to Spanish glossary. We hope you'll consider adding this title to your Spanish collection to inspire young readers to embrace adventure and appreciate the great outdoors. Next up, I'm thrilled to introduce one of our upcoming Spring 2025 titles, Hermanas Llueve o Truene, by award-winning author Nelly Boucher, Salvadoran illustrator Rachel Katstaller, and the Spanish translation by Pura Belper Honor winner Mariana Llanos. This story follows two sisters on a day of unexpected adventures, teaching valuable lessons about flexibility and finding joy in simple moments. Its English edition has received starred reviews from School Library Journal and Booklist for its tender portrayal of sibling bonds. Mariana Llanos' expert translation opens up a world of relatable, high-quality literature for Spanish-speaking patrons and language learners. Now we'll hear from Mariana herself about the translation process.
Hi, I am Mariana Llanos, and I am the translator of Hermanas Llueve o Truene, Sisters Rain or Shine.
Thank you so much for joining us today, Mariana. I was wondering if you could tell us what interested you about this particular story and why you decided to translate this book.
When I was tapped for this project by Lawrence Schimmel, who was the editor of this book, I immediately was drawn to it because I am a younger sister, so I could see that relationship and how you grow up looking up to your bigger sister or sibling. So I really like that interaction between the two characters, and I love the illustrations. They were gorgeous, and I just wanted to be part of the project.
What reader or audience did you have in mind when you translated Big Sister Longcoat for this bilingual edition?
The audience I had in mind was just a person like me, a kid, many years ago, who looked up to her sister. So I wanted kids who are 5, 6, 7 to be able to see themselves in the book, to use playful language and, be relatable with the situations narrated in the story.
The titles in English and Spanish of the bilingual edition are different from the English original title. Can you talk a little about how changes like this make a text originally written in English more accessible in a bilingual format for young readers?
The title in English was Big Sister Longcoat, which is a beautiful title, but I didn't think it was going to translate very well, and the editor was agreed also. So it was a little bit of a back and forth, trying to look for different titles and a lot of suggestions here and there. And at the end, we came up with Hermanas Llueva o Truene, which comes from the phrase aunque llueva, truene o relampaguee, which is a very well-known phrase in Spanish. I think everybody who speaks Spanish can understand it. And also rain or shine, which is a very well-known phrase in English. So even though these two titles do not say exactly the same words, they mean the same. And that is the beauty of translation, when you just convey what the author and what the story is trying to say, but you don't have to use necessarily the same words. So no literal translations, a translation that means something for the reader.
Do you have any advice or tips for librarians and educators who want to build a Spanish and bilingual section in their classroom or library, but they themselves don't speak Spanish?
Yes, if you're looking for books in Spanish or bilingual, I suggest that you look up at the translators to make sure that they're good quality. You can look them up online and see if they have experience translating many books or if they are from the language they are translating. Sometimes it's not necessary. Sometimes if you weren't born speaking Spanish, but you have a lot of experience, then you are going to be able to translate a book with all the nuances that the culture requires as well. And also there are many lists that are compiled, award-winning books that you can see. Those books have been pre-screened and by people who speak the language, and you are gonna make sure that those books are really good translations. Also, we are distancing ourselves from literal translations nowadays. I think the publishing industry has realized that we want more authentic voices, not only in the stories, but also with the translation. So I'm really happy about that because it results in really more authentic, more connecting works of literature.
All right, we want to thank Mariana for her insights, and we hope you guys enjoyed hearing about her translation process and Hermanas Llueve Trueno. Next is another one of our Spring 2025 titles. I'm excited to introduce Vamos a Surfear by Newbery Award winner Kwame Alexander, now available in Spanish thanks to award-winning translator Isabel C. Mendoza. This vibrant picture book follows two frog friends, compa and cuate, bro and dude in English, with very different ideas about spending a day at the beach. As compa gets engrossed in reading, cuate can't help but get pulled into the story's adventure. Vamos a Surfear is more than just a fun beach tale. It's a celebration of reading and imagination, perfect for encouraging young Spanish-speaking readers to dive into books. Alexander's engaging text and Daniel Miraz's lively illustrations create a reading experience that's as exciting as catching a wave. Titles like this one are extra special to me as I didn't have access to many fun books in Spanish growing up, even being in dual language programs. I hope you'll consider including the Spanish translation in your collection so that it can provide access to a best-selling author's work for Spanish-speaking patrons and bridge cultures through the universal love of a good story. Last but certainly not least is another Spring 2025 title, Un Tropezón de Tres Años by Korean-German artist Daeon Ao, is based on the traditional Korean folktale 3-Year Mountain Pass. We're excited to bring this popular Korean folktale to U.S. audiences. This story revolves around a superstitious grandfather, his clever granddaughter, and a mountain with a fateful legend. When grandfather falls down Misfortune Mountain, believed to give victims only 3 years to live, his granddaughter's perspective changes everything. This book is a treasure trove of discussion topics. It explores intergenerational relationships, the power of perspective, and how changing one's mindset can positively impact an entire community. The blend of Korean folklore with universal themes makes it accessible and engaging for readers from all backgrounds. It was important to us to have this title available in Spanish so that young Spanish readers have an opportunity to gain exposure to different cultures. Ao's illustrations, influenced by her multicultural background, add depth and charm to this thoughtful narrative. The visual storytelling complements the text beautifully, making it appealing for both independent readers and read-aloud sessions. And this book is being simultaneously published with its English counterpart, The 3-Year Tumble. That's going to wrap things up for us, so thank you all for joining us today. You can email us with any questions, to request digital galleys, or to inquire about author visits, and our slides will be available after the session for reference. We hope you enjoyed learning about Ediciones Norte Sur and some of our Spanish titles.
Thank you so much, Kelsey and Marian. And now we'll be joined by Stephanie Frescas Macias. Stephanie is the assistant editor at Leamos Books, where she works on inclusive picture books as well as middle grade and YA novels. She assisted with the Pura Belpré winning Where Wonder Grows and edited the Persian English picture book Empty in Me, which garnered 2-starred reviews. She's based in New York, but is a proud fronteriza from El Paso, Texas, and Juarez, Mexico region. Take it away, Stephanie.
Hi, everyone. Thank you. My name is Stephanie Frescas Macias. I'm an assistant editor at Lee & Low, and my pronouns are she, her. I am a tan Mexican woman with short black hair, and I am wearing a multicolored sweater. The background behind me is a plain white wall. Lee & Low Books is an independent, diversity-focused children's publisher, and I'm excited to share our recently published and forthcoming Spanish language and bilingual titles. We take special care with our translations, honoring our mission of publishing books that are about everyone and for everyone. The titles mentioned in today's presentation are just a selection of all Lee & Low has to offer. Head over to Edelweiss for a full catalog and to request access to digital review copies for many of the books covered today. Looking for resources to create lesson plans, guide student reading, and select diverse texts for your shelves? We've got you covered. Our literacy team of former classroom teachers crafts detailed cross-curricular teachers' guides and thematic lists to make it easy for you to incorporate any Lee and Low title into your classroom or library. Check out our authentic Spanish books list in particular. These high-quality bilingual and Spanish texts affirm readers' identities while also establishing a solid foundation for multilingual learners. Bookmark leeandlow.com or visit our page on Share My Lesson or Teachers Pay Teachers to download these resources for free. I want to call out our Bebop Books Más Piñata series, the first early literacy program for Spanish-speaking students in the United States. This exclusive line of books for emerging readers offers rich, culturally relevant stories with predictable sentence structures and illustrations or photos representing Latina culture, families, and children. You can email quotes@leeandlow.com to learn more. So up first are new and Spanish titles from our imprint, Cinco Puntos Press. Lee and Low acquired Cinco Puntos Press a few years ago because the companies shared a common vision. As publisher Jason Lowe said, Cinco Puntos titles amplify marginalized voices and reflect the ideal of a truly inclusive publishing industry. In Tocamos, Mexican folk art music makers in English and Spanish, a flock of feathered musicians are putting on a concert. Each spread shows a bird bringing in their instrument. A crow totes a trombone, a rooster brings a double bass, and a macaw carries an accordion. Once the ensemble is assembled, the music begins. Featuring vibrant wood carvings and rhythmic text that's fun to read aloud, Tocamos introduces children to many of the orchestral instruments played at concerts in Mexican town squares. Each bird was lovingly hand-carved and painted by master woodcarver Avelino Perez, who lives in Oaxaca, Mexico. Author Cynthia Weil worked closely with Avelino to create this fun and vibrant story for young readers. This is the 8th book in the Mexican folk art series, each of which illustrate basic concepts for young children in Spanish and English. This book will fly off the shelves next February. The Hero Twins and the Magic of Song is the latest installment to our Indigenous graphic novel series, Tales of the Feathered Serpent, written by David Bowles and illustrated by his daughter, Charlene Bowles. The English edition publishes next Tuesday, October 29th, and hot on the heels of that release, we're bringing you the Spanish edition, Los Héroes Gemelos y la Magia de la Canción. Two demigod twins are destined to rescue their father and uncle from the land of the dead, but it won't be easy. They'll have to use some trickster magic to survive their cool half-brothers. This series is receiving lots of love from fellow Latina creators. Pedro Martin, award-winning author-illustrator of Mexikid, said, "This book has it all, magic, music, and mayhem." While New York Times bestselling author J.C. Cervantes called it immersive, magical, and undeniably clever. Author David Bowles gathered and retold tales from Maya, Aztec, and other ancient mythology for his YA novel, Feathered Serpent, Dark Heart of Sky. Now he is sharing each story in a series of standalone graphic novels, which he is also translating into Spanish himself. These tales are a little spooky, full of action and adventure, and feature complex characters that will always surprise you. Educators will love using these well-researched introductions to Indigenous pre-Columbian tales in their middle school classrooms. In Claudia Guadalupe Martinez, Olor a Perfume de Viejita, 11-year-old Chela goes into the new school year with a lot of hope, but then her best friend leaves her for the cool girls who seem to hate Chela for no reason, and her dad is having health issues. She doesn't want to worry her dad with her troubles at school, so she finds the comfort she needs from spending time with him. He encourages her, gives her advice, and plays soccer with her. When it seems like Chela has found a way through the curveballs, her dad passes away. The family has to scramble to find a new footing. Her grandmother comes to stay with her, and the smell of her perfume comes to represent this melancholy time for Chela. One of the most special things about this book is the beautiful example of a warm father-daughter relationship. The author draws upon her own childhood experiences to capture grief's depth in simple yet poetic and vivid language that's perfectly approachable for middle grade readers. Readers will also appreciate seeing represented the challenges of growing up in a Spanish-speaking household and feeling insecure and sometimes teased about their English, even within a largely Mexican community in a Texas border town. This is authentically captured through the Spanish translation of the book, which was created by fellow fronterizo Luis Humberto Crosthwaite, who made the Spanish true to what is spoken in the region. And now, a couple of titles for our YA Spanish readers. Treinta Me Habla de Amor by Alessandra Narvaez Varela is hot off the press and available now. This powerful YA novel in verse features a smart 13-year-old Mexican girl, Ana Maria, who is visited by her future 30-year-old future self. A future self that's trying to convince her she needs to be kinder to herself, no matter what's happening with her grades, the distress in her hometown, or the expectations from her parents. Readers consistently raved about 30 Talks with Love and its thoughtful handling of depression and how important it is to prioritize the mental health and well-being above achievement. Alessandra is thrilled to bring this Spanish version to U.S. readers. The language used in the book reflects the story's location: Juarez, Mexico, the sister city of El Paso, Texas. Border towns are special liminal spaces. More people cross the binational border daily between El Paso and Juarez than any other border in the world, and its lingo is captured in this translation. We're very proud to have a contemporary indigenous story of Tzotzil Maya people to share this coming spring. Cuando una mujer se levanta by Christine Eber is the new Spanish translation of the gripping young adult novel When a Woman Rises. When Veronica asks her mother, Magdalena, to share a story for the nonprofit she works for, Magdalena speaks of her childhood and her friendship with Lucia. She tells Veronica about how as children they snuck away to get more education than what girls were usually allowed. She reveals how as teenagers they learned how to make and practice the crafts that would give them their livelihoods. And then how Magdalena married a kind man while Lucia was driven away by the pain she felt being so different from their community. Readers witness the beauty of a mother passing down the stories of her hopes and dreams, the traditions and expectations that shaped her life, and the challenges she and her community endured. All three women in the story face issues where traditional gender roles push them into difficult situations. Through support from their loved ones or simply bold defiance, each woman finds a way to remain true to herself. Eber has been deeply involved in Tzotzil Maya community for over 40 years, beginning in the 80s when she lived with a family in Chiapas during her PhD research. Since then, she continues to uplift the work of Tzotzil Maya weavers through a nonprofit named Weavers for Justice. Her knowledge and respect are evident, down to details like the spelling of tzotzil with an S, which progressive Maya groups have chosen as a rejection of the colonial Spanish spelling more often seen. That wraps up on UM4 Cinco Puntos prize titles. Now, let's dive into our new and Spanish titles from our other Lee and Low imprints. From the much-loved creators of Zombies Don't Eat Veggies, Jorge Lacera and Megan Lacera comes Los Bravos. This graphic novel-style picture book is a heartwarming and humorous story about friendship, home, and finding where you belong. Meet Valentina and her best friends Jasmine, Andy, and Xander. They lived in the Wild Oaks apartment building their entire lives. They are the wild ones. Legend has it there's a monstro lurking deep in the forest of their town. No one has ever seen it, but the wild ones believe it exists. But something's going on that's more menacing than any creature. Greedy developers want to tear down the Wild Oaks apartments. The four best friends know what they have to do: find the monstro and convince it to help them save the only home they've ever known. The Wild Ones brings a fun, diverse twist for young audiences to pop culture's fascination with monsters and will appeal to the nostalgia of movies and TV shows set in the 1980s. Think The Goonies and Stranger Things. The monsters come from Caribbean, South American, Irish Gaelic, and Indian folklore. De La Sera said, "We thought it would be fun and cool to feature monsters from various cultures, especially if the monsters reflected the cultural roots of our characters. Instead of seeing these monsters as scary figures, we imagined them as protectors of human characters, protectors of their uniqueness, and ultimately, believers in the kids who believe in them." Join Los Bravos on their monster quest today. Mercedes Sosa, La Voz del Pueblo, written and illustrated by Aisha Perez Prado, is a powerful biography of the popular Argentinian folk singer and activist that will make your corazón soar like the song she performed. Affectionately known as La Negra and the voice of the voiceless, Mercedes used her musical talents to speak out against poverty and inequality in her home country. Readers learn of Mercedes' personal journey from humble beginnings to global singing sensation, as well as Argentine history of how economic and political instability led to the rise of a dictatorship and state-sponsored terrorism. The book emphasizes the importance of allowing music and art to freely criticize a government and inspire social change. There's an afterword with photos that dives deeper into Mercedes' life and career. Author-illustrator Aisha Perez Prado grew up in Buenos Aires, Argentina. She did extensive research about Mercedes and even interviewed Mercedes' brother and nephew. Aisha is an educator of linguistic and cultural studies whose academic work and children's book promote diversity, peace, and social activism. Of the book, Aisha says it shows how all people, regardless of wealth, gender, ethnicity, or other circumstances, have the right to live in freedom and peace with hope for a better future. Semillas de Cambio, written by Jen Cullerton Johnson and illustrated by Sonia Lynn Sadler, tells the true story of Wangari Maathai, the first Kenyan woman and the first environmentalist to win a Nobel Peace Prize. The original English edition, Seeds of Change, received a Coretta Scott King John Steptoe Award for New Talent in Illustration, as well as a starred review from Kirkus. As a young girl, Wangari was taught to love and respect nature. Although most Kenyan girls were not educated at the time, Wangari was allowed to go to school, and her love for science flourished. While her studies brought her to the United States, she ultimately returned home where she witnessed the government selling much of her people's land to foreign companies for commercial use. This brought dramatic changes to the lush, green landscape she knew as a young person. In response, she established the Green Belt movement, advocating for the rights of her countrywomen and preserving the land, one tree at a time. Beautifully written and coupled with vibrant images, Semillas de Cambio shows the importance of protecting our environment, including the negative results of depleted natural resources and how each person can make a difference. Me, a joyful young girl who's proud of her parents' work in a rose farm in Ecuador in Rosas para Isabela, written by Diana Cohn and illustrated by Amy Cordova Boone. We were fortunate to work with a translator from Ecuador on this book. On the surface, this is a simple story of a young girl sharing poems about her parents' experience working in a rose farm. It's also a great story of appreciating and caring for Mother Nature and farm workers. It can also help introduce the concept of labor rights, since Isabella's parents have a much better experience working in a farm that has protections. Author Diana Cohn has a long history of labor rights advocacy, and she worked closely with the Fair Trade USA organization as she developed this story. Both she and illustrator Amy Cordova Boone even visited a Fair Trade certified farm in Ecuador and got to know farmers and organizers on the ground. The afterword, written by former Fair Trade USA Vice President Lynn Lohr, gives some context on what kind of worker and environmental protections Fair Trade looks for when giving their certification. Pluck Rosas para Isabela from shelves next April. Let's take a look at our new in Spanish for middle grade and YA readers. Like the first books in our empowering nonfiction, The Story of Chapter Book series. La Historia de la Estrella de Cine Anna May Wong spotlights the actor and her trailblazing Hollywood career. It also touches on the history of Chinatowns in the United States, the movie-making process of the 1920s, and whitewashing in film. La Historia del Héroe de los Derechos de John Lewis, Derechos Civiles John Lewis, honors the life and legacy of one of the Big Six civil rights leaders. Throughout the compelling personal narrative, there's an emphasis on the power of working together peacefully toward a common goal. Additionally, the book informs readers about subjects like sharecropping, the March on Washington, and Lewis's work in Congress. Each book in this fresh collection of chapter books biographies focuses on historical figures of color and includes black and white illustrations, informative sidebars, highlights, vocabulary words, a timeline, glossary, and recommended reading. Las Historias de Anna May Wong and John Lewis are available in Spanish now, and stay tuned for more translations in this series. Get ready for Julieta y el Enigma del Diamante by Luciana Duarte Armendariz, a captivating middle-grade mystery about a diamond gone missing from the Louvre and the sweet and spunky Mexican-American 9-year-old who cracks the case. This middle-grade novel was a New Visions Award winner and is perfect for readers and librarians who are looking for diverse read-alikes for Magic Treehouse series, Chasing Vermeer, and the evergreen classic from the mixed-up files of Mrs. Basil E. Frankweiler. Full of history and art, introduced in a way that young readers will find fun and engaging, it also offers a fascinating look at how art moves from museum to museum internationally. We loved working with the author to bring this book into the version of Spanish that honors the book's Mexican-American roots. Luisiana did the translation herself, the perfect person to bring Julieta's spunky voice to Spanish readers. En El Deseo de mi Corazón, from award-winning author Jamile Sayed Mendez, ballet is Florencia del Lago's entire world. After years of hard work, she is chosen as Clara in the winter production of The Nutcracker. Not only is she the youngest dancer to receive such an honor, but also the first Latina. She's on track to be recruited by the best ballet companies. Unfortunately, she suffers a panic attack on the opening night. But even though she loses this role, she receives a lot of family support and therapy, which helps Florencia open up to new experiences. Throughout the book, Jamile masterfully highlights Latina participation in ballet and Irish dance communities where Latina kids can express themselves outside of any box or restrictions. Perfect for discussion in class or at home, El Deseo de mi Corazón portrays the realistic effects of bullying and the loss of a close friendship, showing readers the possibility of hope through new interests. This book dances into shelves in April. And that wraps up our presentation. Before we leave, we want to call out that we're a proud partner of We Are Stronger Than Censorship. And our beloved Morridan Llegó a Ser un Hermano from Kyle Lukoff and Kailana Juanita is one of the 20 titles featured, purchased, and distributed through the program. You can learn more about the campaign through wearestrongerthancensorship.org. You can find book resumes readily available in Unite Against Book Ban's Book Resumes Hub. The resume details a book's significance and educational value and are easy to share with administrators, elected officials, or board members. We're incredibly grateful to all of you out there defending our freedom to read freely. And lastly, you can keep up with Leanne Lowe on our favorite social media platforms. And thank you all for joining. Take care of yourselves.
Thank you so much, Stephanie. Our final presentation will come from Catalina Ogwin. After finishing a BA and MA in English Literature at McGill University, Canada, Catalina worked for 5 years at the National Library of Columbia as a coordinator of digital contents and special projects of the National Digital Library. Since 2014, she has been the editorial director and founding partner of Makina Editorial, a company specialized in the production and distribution of digital publications. Its most embellic product is Make Digital Library en Español. Thanks for being here, Catalina. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Grace, and welcome. And hi, everyone. And thank you for your presentations, Stephanie and Gelsey from North and South, and Lee and Lowe. I think you're great companions for what I'm going to talk about next. Make Digital Library en Español is an authentic Latin American ebook platform, and we represent close to 75 different Latin American publishers. I myself am Colombian. We are based in Colombia, but we have exclusive sales partners in the US, which are Lectorum Publications. Lectorum is a 60-year-old company that specializes in distributing print books to schools and libraries as well. So our partnership has been very fruitful to bring authentic ebooks from Latin America to schools and libraries. Can you go to the next slide? So Make offers schools and libraries the best authentic Latin American ebooks available on a friendly multi-user platform and a personalized service focused on teachers and librarians. So what does that mean? It means, first of all, that we sell exclusively to institutional clients, meaning school libraries, school districts, or public libraries. We have been doing this in Latin America for the past 8 years and in the USA for the past 4 years. So we have plenty of experience getting around all the technical stuff in terms of authentication, signing in your users, statistics, mark records, and all the technical stuff we have completely covered. Multi-user, what does that mean? An unlimited access. It means that unlike other platforms where you have to take a book, make a loan, if the book is loaned, then it's not available for a different reader, and all this complicated things that happen with other platforms. With Makemake, access is unlimited and simultaneous, meaning if a teacher wants to assign a book for kids to read, 30 kids at the same time, they can read it at the same time. Or if you're in a library setting, and let's say you want to do a book club and focus on a particular title, then all the users, registered users from the library, would be able to read that title. That makes it very convenient, especially for young users, such as the ones that we are targeting, but also parents or teachers who might not be very fluent in the technical stuff. That makes Makemake a very easy to use platform. Uh, I should say, of course, that our books are, we specialize in children's and tweens, meaning kids ages 3 to 12, even though we have some titles for older kids, our collection is insanely strong for first readers and intermediate readers, ages 3 to 12. Can you go to the next slide? So Makemake can be a resource that can help you bridge gaps in your Spanish collections for youths, meaning if you have print collections that maybe are not very up to date, or you want to expand the service for your Latino or Hispanic or Spanish speaking communities, Makemake can be a way of doing that very quickly with top quality titles that I will refer to in a bit. Or if you want to start a new Spanish service for Latino communities, or dual language in your community if you're a public library, or if you're a school library, serve your dual language programs, Makemake can be a way of doing that. Can you go to the next one? So what kind of ebooks we have in Makemake? So first of all, I want to emphasize the fact that what we have available in our platform are books, meaning these whatever you find in there are printed books that have found their way into the platform in a digital format. These books belong to different publishers. We have about 75 different publishers from Latin America and a few from North America. We are interested in having a diverse collection of fiction and nonfiction titles with a strong emphasis on graphic books, illustrated books. Images are as important as text for us, and the publishers that we work with have local or regional or even international recognition, such as the Bologna Book Fair Prize, which is the most important book fair for children in the world, or local prizes from the publishing industry. So the books have been, and the publishers have been carefully selected and read by our team before adding them to the platform. So a lot of the work in terms of curating content has been done on our side. So we have interactive books, which are by far the most unique in our platform. We have 120 of these titles, which are animated, have read-along features, and certain small, simple interactions. They are ideal for story time and for engaging reluctant readers. What we have seen over and over again working with libraries across Latin America is that parents who aren't strong on reading themselves, or who have felt left out of the reading culture, feel these interactive books are welcoming and engaging and fun, and are good ways for opening doors for reluctant readers or early readers. We have short stories, chapter books, and novels for passionate readers, and poetry. We have a strong collection of poetry, ideal to foster a love for words and language. Because our books, 95% of our collection is authentic Latin American, that means the books are in Spanish, were originally written in Spanish, and because the publishers come and authors from the South in Argentina all the way to the US, because we also work with American publishers, that means the language thus is important. Is important not only as a not only the language itself, but the stories that are told, the realities that they reflect, the images that we try to portray. We also have a strong nonfiction collection designed with books designed to encourage curiosity in the sciences, history, and the arts. Also, I'm very proud to say we have a growing and beautiful collection of comics and graphic novels, close to 250 books, again from different countries in Latin America, graphic novels for the older readers, but also sweet little comic books with and without text. With all sorts of characters. It's really a treat, these books, to read them on a screen. They're very lively and beautiful and fun. And of course, picture books for early readers. There's an amazing selection of picture books for kids. Can you go to the next one? So, unlike our fellow presenters who were publishers themselves, Makemake is more a distribution platform, but also I like to think of Makemake as a reading community, and that's what we try to do. So more than a tech company, we are a reading company. I myself, as you might have noticed from the introduction, I myself studied literature. I worked for 5 years in public libraries here in Colombia and had the possibility of actually engaging with people in different contexts, in different towns across our country. I also had the fortune of participating in a Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation project that stretched the whole country and was able to meet librarians from across the world and realize that it's not enough to just have the books out there in our libraries. It is important to make books alive, to give them context, to organize them in collections or highlight them in certain ways as to make them attractive and appealing. It's important to help librarians do their job in promoting books or creating book clubs or highlighting certain titles. It's important to help teachers work with these books in the classroom and make them alive for them, and also to create contact with authors. I myself, I am an author, actually, just published a novel here in Colombia with Penguin Random House. So keeping a healthy publishing environment is important for me personally and for us. So Makemake, we deal directly with publishers and authors. That means royalties are fair, and we try to make this a business that is healthy for everyone, for readers, but also publishers and authors who create these amazing stories. So what do we do in order to foster a reading community? Can you go to the next one, please? So we do a few concrete things. First of all, we have a program of live events with authors. We do once or twice a month events with authors from all over Latin America and the US who speak Spanish. Most of these events are in Spanish, although sometimes we try to do bilingual story times if possible. This programming is available on our YouTube channel. We have been doing it for the past 4 years, and it's an amazing resource to to cover different topics, different genres, and different authors from different countries. So because we are in an online virtual company, it makes total sense to have a virtual live channel with authors that has helped us give voice to everybody in Latin America, which is a lot of people and countries. Second of all, we have an annual reading plan. which we publish at the beginning of the year. And we basically cover different topics every month, highlight different books per month, and then create reading guides for these books so they can be used in the classrooms or book clubs or by librarians. This annual reading plan also includes special collections like a summer reading collection that is released for American libraries during the summer, and a special Hispanic Heritage Month collection that is released in mid-September as well. So finally, we have downloadable reading plans or teaching guides for the books. So far, 400 of our titles include these downloadable reading guides. We believe in a critical reading, in fostering critical reading, in promoting a diversity of books and authors from different publishing houses, different countries, different genres, and creating autonomous, independent readers who can also find the books on their own and read on their own. While all this information, you can see it here in English, while all the books are in Spanish and most of the books are authentic Latin American, as I said, 95% of our collection. Right now, our collection spans about 2,400 titles. All the services are bilingual, meaning the newsletters, technical support, staff training, and all the video tutorials and marketing materials. Because we know a lot of librarians, such as yourselves, serve Latino communities, but yourselves aren't fluent in Spanish. So we try to make everything surrounding the book service bilingual, interface, and all our communications. So you guys can actually work with a community without speaking the language. Finally, we can go to the next slide. We have a Hispanic Heritage Sale, by the way. So we sell our books in bundles, starting from 100 book bundles. And if you subscribe from 300 books onwards, you will get 3 books, 60, 80, or up to 100 books. This sale is active until the end of the year. So just so you keep it in mind. And finally, can you move to the next slide? I just wanted to let you know that we work with big and small libraries across the US, big libraries such as King County Library, Boston Public Library, LA or Queens, or Miami-Dade, but also small libraries such as Pflugerville in Texas, or Whittier in California, or other libraries mentioned there. I'm going to lose time mentioning them. Please contact us. Our emails are there on the screen. We're also going to be sharing in the follow-up emails that you receive a link where you can request a demo or a live tour from ourselves, and you can check out the collection and the platform yourselves. And thank you so much for your time. I hope you understood. I'm sorry if I mispronounced some words. English is not my native tongue.
Thank you so much, Catalina. That was fantastic. And we had a lot of questions in the Q&A about it. So we'll be sure to get that and all the other beautiful questions everyone asks to our panelists tomorrow. But I want to thank all of our panelists for such a wonderful webinar today. Tomorrow, all attendees will receive an email containing links to today's video recording, slide presentation, title list, and a certificate of completion. For more about Booklist webinars, be sure to visit www.booklistonline.com/webinars, where you can view archives of past webinars and register for upcoming ones like those you see here. Attention all library workers, educators, booksellers, and students. We have a special subscription offer exclusive to webinar attendees. Subscribe to Booklist now and stay on top of the latest books, glean reader's advisory guidance, and get collection development advice through print and digital editions of Booklist and access to Booklist online. Plus, our Booklist subscription now comes with free digital and shareable copies of our new product for patrons, Booklist Reader. Scan the QR code or visit our website for more details. Thank you so much for joining us for today's webinar. A huge thank you to our panelists and to our sponsors, NorthSouth Books, Lee & Low Books, and Make. This concludes today's webinar. See you next time.